Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to use this as the basis of my discussion so that it's a little bit easier to go through. All right, Chapter 12. This is going to kind of look at your career options. So think about where you are with how you feel about your career, what you know about your career, your information you've collected and gathered. What are your goals in terms of your career path and how confident you are in following those and reaching those goals. And this is an overview of the chapter itself. Okay, so this is the beginning of the chapter. It talks about just thinking about how the job market has changed. And already this is out of date because COVID has really changed the landscape of our job market. So there's a lot of things that we have to think about now. There's more jobs in some areas and less jobs in others. We're seeing a lot of people leaving the fields of like medical field and education. We're seeing some companies struggle to keep employees. Others are coming up with creative ways to get employees to stay or to come on. So the landscape has already changed. And so simply because of that, even if you had a really good grasp on what your career could look like, you may need to just kind of check in again because of everything that's been going on the past couple of years. This section talks about how we want to kind of look to see what quote unquote your dream is for your future, for your career, and how and why those are important to you. So really evaluating why you want to do the things you do is helpful to really focus and really get in the mindset of trying to reach those goals. So this section talks a little bit about that right here. Next section is career exploration. So as I've said in previous videos, some students in here are CCP students, again, meaning that you're still in high school. Others, you are a couple years out of high school. Some of you are further removed than that. So everyone's on a little bit of a different path. So when you go to look at Chapter 12 on your own, pay attention to those areas that really are more applicable to you. So maybe you've already selected a major. You are completely confident in that choice. And so you're going to look more at like the job market. Maybe some of you are not sure what your major is, so you're going to more pay attention to the section that talks about choosing your major. So just keep that in mind. So this section talks about the difference between a job and career. You know, a job is what you do on a daily basis to make money, and sure, you can like it, but then a career hopefully is something that you have a passion for. It's something that you really want to follow and that you're hopefully here to pursue. So this section talks about how if you're not sure, or maybe you just want to confirm, there are some things you want to do. Like first you want to know yourself. You want to know more about who you are, your abilities, your personalities, your qualities. And so this talks about different types of personalities. If you've ever heard of the Holland categories, this goes through and you're actually going to take this as part of your assignments this week. So you'll see this in the assignment video. But Holland's personalities describe 6 general categories that people tend to fit in. And you can kind of look to see, just based on the descriptions, if you see yourself in any of those categories, because you are going to take a career assessment and it'll give you some results. But just out of curiosity, maybe look to see if you could already tell. And normally it ranks your top 3. So you can look and see what your top 3 personalities would be. This is a section that talks about what is out there, what kind of job information is out there. And I will tell you that if we go to the BLSgov, in the upper right-hand corner, you search for, you could tell I've used physical therapy as my example before, search for your career. You'll find one that fits your search. So I'm going to click on this right here. And this is I think it's a really user-friendly, but it's a great site with lots of information. So I recommend doing this even if you're already pretty familiar with your major, with your career path, just because it's updated, looking to see the job change. So this is just a real quick snapshot. You can kind of see probably a lot of the information people are really curious in. So this is for actual physical therapists, not necessarily a physical therapist assistant. You can see how much money they're going to make, the kind of degree they need, how many jobs they're going to be. So you can click through each of the little tabs, and this will give you their responsibilities, their kind of things they're expected to do on a daily basis. Where can they be found? What kind of work environment are they going to be in? What do you need to do to become one? What education or certification, licensures, tests, things like that. Some qualities that you're going to need to have to do well in this field. Pay, hopefully not the main thing that makes you decide what career you're going into, but certainly an important factor. The average pay, the job outlook, another thing you really pay a lot of attention to. If it's a positive number like this right here is a pretty large growth projection. And this is projecting from 2020 to 2030, so a 10-year projection. Now, if you're seeing numbers that are smaller, then that just lets you know that, hey, there's going to be a little competition to get into this field. If you see a negative number, that means it's not a growing field right now. And so it's just, again, something to not deter you, but something to keep in mind. This will click in if you kind of want to go to different state information, similar occupations if you're interested in that field, but you're not 100% decided. These are all the fields that are connected to it, and then where you could go for more info. So this is the BLS.gov. I think it's a really helpful site. Another one you could go to is the ONET Online. Very similar type of information. So up here, I'm just going to keep it to physical therapy. This time I'm going to click on physical therapy assistant. You can see that lots of detail here. Sometimes this one, students will tell me, is a little bit more overwhelming because it does have so much information, because you can click and it'll expand. But it really does give you just a wide berth of details here. You know, the work activities, context, where you can expect to work, what you need to do to become one, all the skills, the knowledge. You can also navigate through, like up here and kind of change some of the ways that you look at it. But this is a really very thorough site that has a lot of information. You know, your job openings, your wages and employment. So great place to look. The last place I'm going to show you, and this is actually going to come up in your assignment video as well, is something called Career Coach. And I'm just at the Stark State homepage. If I scroll down and I click on Career Coach, in your assignment video, you will see you are actually going to take the career assessment. So I'm going to address that later. But for right now, I'm going to go right here in the middle and do what I've been doing and search physical therapy. And I'm going to click on the best fit. And this is, I think, of the three, is the nice, friendly version, because it's obviously like connected to our college, and it breaks things down really nicely. So here's our physical therapy assistant. Real snapshot. Here's your average expected salary, how many job openings on a yearly basis. Now, if I know that when I graduate, I'm going to move further away than 10 miles from here, maybe I say 50 miles. It's going to change that information. So you can kind of change your region. And then it's also going to connect you to the program here at the college. So you could always look at that. I think that's a really nice feature, that it connects you right to the program plan page for your field. Okay, so let me go back and just show you again. So here's that snapshot. Here's the overview, the tasks, what degrees people have in this field, the kind of skills that you'll need, both technical and soft skills. The money you can expect to make on a scale there. Employment, meaning how many postings are there on average. And so this is a growing field, and it's kind of dipped, and you can see it's coming back up. Similar careers. And then I like this one, live job postings. These are actual postings that are currently going on right now through Indeed, that you could look and see, hey, what does this job posting look like? What kind of verbiage do they use? What are they looking for? Does my resume, or could I get a resume to look and mirror kind of some of this language that they're using? So that's Career Coach. So I wanted to show you those, sites out there. And I know there's a lot of information, but those are three really great sites to help you use. This goes more into detail about the different types of personalities and a good fit of careers based on the personality. And these are different factors that might affect your career choice. Where a certain career is located. Maybe there's not a lot of job openings in Ohio. You might have to relocate. Do you have children or spouses or anything like that you have to take in consideration? So things you have to think about. And then where do you go from here? Right now is a good time to already start networking, really start thinking about what your path is going to look like. So making connections, talking to your instructors, talking to your advisor. This next section is for students who maybe just have not selected your major yet. So that is also going to come up when we take your career assessment. Everyone's going to take it, even if you've already selected your career. But If you have not selected your major already, excuse me, this is going to talk about like the importance of it and just knowing that it's okay. Sometimes students choose their major, and that's a part of college, part of figuring out. A lot of students will change their major multiple times. And so here are some tips on, choosing the major that's right for you, along with, considering, researching your information, making sure it connects with your personality, but also look and see, what do you enjoy? What have you talked to other people about? What do you know about these fields? So lots of things to consider here. All right, so maybe you have already selected your major. Now you need to really thinking about, like, how am I going to get there? So some of you here in Stark State might be going here for 2 years and then transferring. So that's something you want to already start thinking and talking with your advisor about. What is my transfer going to look like? What is going to transfer from here to another institution? We have a lot of articulation agreements with Akron, with Ohio State, with a lot of different colleges around the state. So that's something that you want to be aware of. You also want to start brushing up on your transferable skills. Transferable skills are also called soft skills. These are your skills that are not technical, meaning they are not the things you have to know to be a good IT manager or a good nurse, but they're the things that everyone needs to know. And so here's just a short list. There are so many transferable skills, things like problem solving or speaking in public or creative thinking, things that are going to literally transfer whether you are an education major or you're a nursing major, and so look at that list and just kind of see like, oh yeah, I really need to work on my time management, or I really need to work on my communication, verbal or written, whatever it might be, and then seek opportunities to practice those, attend workshops. Sometimes we have like little classes here at the college, or life in general allows you to practice these things. So just being aware of those transferable skills, because that's going to help you not only get a job, but then keep a job, because your soft skills are things that you're going to be able to demonstrate in an interview, but then even more so when you're in your field, and it's going to help you retain your position and maybe even rise up. This also talks about getting ready for your field. It's really important to build your resume. I mean, this was just a couple weeks ago, right, where we were talking about building your resume. So how can you get your foot in the door? And you can volunteer. I know sometimes our time is limited, but volunteering, even just like an hour a month or something that you can really start to kind of make those connections, get a little bit familiar with what's happening in your field and be able to put it on your resume. Internships, depending on your field, this is a great way to really make those networking connections. Sometimes you can get college credit for it, just depends. Most internships are unpaid, so again, I know that presents an issue, but that's a great way to strengthen your resume, to really start connecting, and sometimes you find out how much you do or do not like the field after an internship. Sometimes you can just get part-time employment or student employment connected to that field, so those are all things to think about. The next section talks about career development, developing your career a little bit more, so really exploring and understanding and thinking about how your career is going to fit in with all of your financial goals, with your kind of big picture family goals. So this goes into detail there. And then we start to round out talking about power of networking, which I mentioned the word networking several times now. So networking is making connections between people. So when you're here at Stark State, you are networking essentially, because you might be working with your advisor who also happens to work in the field. You might be talking with other people in your classes who are going in the same field as you. You're engaging with them. And so sometimes this happens through job fairs. You can go to a job fair and network. Sometimes it happens when you get an internship. Sometimes a great way to network is if you go under Stark State Info for current students. You can see we have a list of student clubs here. And there are a lot of clubs that are for fun, but there's a lot of that are connected to majors. You can see like medical laboratory techs, the culinary club. These are, ones that you could put on your resume, but also allows you to start networking. It allows you to start kind of talking with people who have that same interest. So that's another way that you can network. Okay, so this talks about the importance of networking, when you need to start doing this. Like even if this is your first semester, networking now is helpful, because if you've ever heard that phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. There's a degree of truth to that. Hopefully you have the required skills, but sometimes knowing someone who might work at a company or could get you like a connection to an interview, that's helpful too, and that can all come from networking. So this talks about the importance of networking and how to build your network, and just a little bit of the ways to go about that. This is making first contact, how to keep building your network. Now, networking is not necessarily the same as social networking, although you can use your social network to network. What I mean by that is I have like students who are photography majors, and so they use Instagram to portray their pictures, their portfolios, and they can build clientele that way. Not every career can use social media as a way to network, but sometimes they can help each other out. All right, and then toward the end kind of your job career search here, you want to make sure that your resume and cover letters are ready to go. Over here, I'm going to go back to our Stark State homepage, Career Services. This is a great resource on campus. You're already paying for it. It's built into your tuition package. Here they can help you write your resume. There's resume and job search assistance. There's interview practice. There's internship information. So Career Services is a great place to go. You can kind of just go to their website and click around and get information that way. Or you can always make appointments, and they have information over here about all the people who work in that office. Please utilize them. Even if you can't use them right this minute, utilize them before you leave the college. And then even if you graduate, you can utilize them as an alumni. So really pay attention to these, because obviously this is what you're here for. You're here to land a career. So you want to make sure that you have your resume. You check, these job listings that we talked about with these different, look in here, look the job listings that are offered, the verbs that are being used on some of these websites. How can you mirror that in your resume so that it reflects what employers are looking for? Keep your resume updated. Make sure you're using the right format. So this goes through a lot of kind of tips with that, different verbs you can use, how to polish it, making sure that you let someone else look at it. Is a cover letter required? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So knowing when a cover letter is appropriate, how to construct one of those. And then finally, the last section is interviewing. The last piece of the job search is to conduct that interview. And so this goes through different types of interviews, whether you have like a group interview, a one-on-one, a networking interview. How do you prepare? You want to do your research, learn about where you're going, have questions ready, reach out to your network, look at the job description so you really know what it is you're going in for, and you can be prepared to explain why you're a good fit. Make sure you know your resume really well. This is a great little study guide to kind of anticipate what kind of questions are going to be asked, have the answers of those in the back of your mind ready to go. So this is a great exercise to prepare for interviews. Here's some other tips, like dressing, being on time. Make sure it is you're being you. Make eye contact, ask questions. Even if you don't understand something, say, can you word it in a different way? Be honest, and then follow up after the interview. Again, Career Services, we do have interview practice through their office. They have something called Interview Stream where you can record yourself being interviewed by questions, and then you can watch yourself back, which I know sometimes is a little uncomfortable, but it's helpful. Do you use a lot of filler words? Do you talk too much with your hands? Those kind of things can be really helpful. All right, that is chapter 12. I encourage you to really look at any sections that you feel like you really need to focus in on. Maybe you've already chosen your major, so you need to look now at maybe how to build your network, or vice versa. You haven't selected your major, so you really need to hone in on that. So please take a look at the chapter 12 chapter. Let me know if you have questions, and then I'll be back with your week 3 assignments.